Do you think it is cheating for a guy to like a girl's bikini pictures on social media?
I'm not a fan of it. That's why I don't date anyone who has social media.
Okay.
Do you have social media?
Yeah.
What if I have a business and I have a social media account doing the same thing you're doing?
Then I wouldn't date you.
Like, we're YouTubers. Okay, we got social media.
I don't f with someone who has that type of business. This is my criteria. Nobody has to f with me.
I think a relationship is a contract, and if you break the rules, you cheat, no matter what it is.
I wouldn't recommend making that like an established boundary in your relationship. I think there's better non-negotiables to make.
If you reach out to engage, then there's like a reason. I can understand liking like friend pictures if you've got like a friend group, but if you're just liking like random like sexy girl pictures on Instagram or sexy guy pictures and you're like a monogamous relationship, I don't know why you'd ever do that. I don't know if guys will admit it or not, but there's like some like secret cope in the back of their head that maybe one of these girls will notice or some shit, or you can like reach out at some point. That's what I feel like. Like when people reach out on social media or engage, it's for a reason.
I think a woman liking a picture or engaging is way worse than a guy engaging on Instagram. It is. I think the threshold for a female to commit an act of infidelity is far easier to break than for a man.
Men tend to prefer cheating sexually. They kind of see sex as this benign, non-emotional thing. They're like, I can cheat and it's not emotional. Women consistently don't experience that. They don't report cheating in that way. It seems to be the case that typically they become incredibly emotionally dissatisfied in their relationship first.
Yes.
And then afterwards they'll cheat. Basically what I would post to like MJ and Sneako is if you know that she's more likely to cheat if her emotions aren't being met, and you're also concerned about basically like seeing a bunch of women, how are you going to meet those needs and prevent her from wanting to like find emotional support elsewhere if you're not there and you're kind of split between like 3 to 4 women and she doesn't have any other emotional outlet?
I meet all of her emotional needs. She's very happy, so that's why I feel comfortable having the relationship open on my end, and she's good on hers.
And does she want to hear about the other women?
She wants to be aware of what the situation is, but ultimately I think most women cannot handle the truth.
Do you think that that increases the likelihood that she might cheat on you first emotionally and then later sexually?
I think I would see it beforehand. I think you can sniff it.
You might notice it. I'm just wondering if you think it's going to increase the likelihood of her cheating.
No, I'm doing everything she wants.
You have your wife here, right? When she is with somebody else, you don't feel a type of way about it?
Usually if we're doing something, we'll have it like planned at the same time. So if I'm traveling somewhere in like a week or two, she'll make plans, I'll make plans. So we're both with somebody at different times.
Okay, let's say he's with somebody. Do you feel a way about it at all?
No.
So do you guys feel like there's any depth in that relationship?
Yeah, of course.
Of course.
Like in what way though?
Do you
Bonding
think the
stuff?
relationship is just about sex?
No.
So
Absolutely not.
what else is it?
A woman has her roles, a guy has his roles. There's some form of 50-50, but it's not financial. And I would have to say like my 50 fulfills things that he can't do or he doesn't want to do. So when you have two people that are equal to that extent, it's almost there's no liability. There's almost like you cut me, I'm gonna cut you back. But like to what extent? There's no depth in my opinion.
You're looking at relationships where both ends are unequal in some way, such that one person is like satisfying a huge deficit of another person. Even if it was totally close, I still want somebody that looks like a partner to me in most ways. Like we're not like fulfilling each other's deficits so much as like we both are on the level to do a lot of shit together, like career-wise, household-wise, travel-wise, or whatever. We're both like on the same level to do that.
So you want a friend?
Roommates.
Since the beginning of time, many men have had hordes of women. I've never seen it the other way around though, because guys have an issue with girls that are promiscuous and guys have an issue with girls that have multiple partners. However, women, even though they say they have a problem with guys that have multiple partners, the reality is if the guy's value is high enough, the woman will share him. This has been proven since the beginning of time. That's why powerful men have always had harems of women, and the women accepted it because their need for security with that high status guy overrides their ego and their need to be monogamous. Monogamy is typically what guys resort to that don't have the value to go ahead and get other women, and or they lie about it. Any guy, if left to his own devices, is always going to want other women. It works because he's able to keep his attraction high. The girl gets what she wants because she has the best man. She's just going to have to share him sexually.
As long as you're okay with the woman upgrading as soon as she finds a more financially successful guy. You have to accept that then. Fine,
It's more than just finances when you talk about security.
No, it can't be. If you want to talk about other types of security, one security is that your man won't step out on you. That's a big piece of security for a lot of women, that you know that your man can go to places and he's not going to f around. That's a big piece of security, but you don't want to provide that security. You want to talk only financial, only stability. If you want to do that, that's fine.
No,
but if she finds a bigger castle, she should be able to leave you and you can't really
So most guys will stay in the relationship with the girl, even though they're miserable, because they know if they divorce her, especially if they're a breadwinner, you're going to lose half of your assets. You're going to lose your children. You're going to have to pay her alimony. So most guys are not going to leave their girl.
Why do you pay alimony?
You have to keep her lifestyle at a certain level when you were together.
No, it's because she's foregoing her whole career in order to do the children thing. So when you leave, the reason why you pay alimony is to compensate her for the fact that she's thrown her life away on the family that you just walked out on. But as a man, as you age, you're a 35-year-old dude, you got kids, nobody gives a f. You have kids in that moment, nobody cares. You're still fine. And not only that, but you had a woman take care of your kids the whole time, you can build your whole career, you don't lose anything. If you walk out of a relationship and you're both 32 years old, the woman has 2 kids, it's right. You can laugh. How many people knows a girl who had a baby daddy walk out on them that never paid child support? Right? Also, you're talking about splitting assets, breadwinner, all that shit. People making $45K a year aren't thinking about this shit. People making $35K a year aren't like losing their $2 million nest egg at 27 when they leave their baby mama. A lot of these women don't even go to court. A lot of them don't even get married, right?
Men are increasingly depressed, they're increasingly lonely, and they're addicted all the time. And I worry that part of this is because we've attached a man's value to his GDP. We've said a man is valuable, and I think women do this to men as well, when he has income, because we see money as essentially a heuristic for what you would say is stability providing. The issue is that like a guy who can provide all of these things isn't inherently a good father. And I would argue that when you're using this dating strategy with women, I'm concerned that the women that you attract and maintain a relationship with aren't the women who are going to be willing to invest into you. You want a woman who's going to find you attractive when you're broke and you're just trying to get your IT degree, and she sees something in you and is willing to stick beside you. Most women of that quality, if they find out that they can't trust you in a negotiation, and to be honest, most women want monogamy, these women aren't going to be interested in you. And so I'm concerned that the dating strategy that you're suggesting actually ends up with women that exhibit more fatherless behavior. Because I would argue fatherless behavior is when women look at a man and they see a wallet. That to me is fatherless behavior. When a man's GDP is just all that matters to her. Because when girls don't have dads, a lot of time the relationship they have is either none, or it's a dad who pays alimony, buys her expensive gifts when he feels bad for not being around her, right?
You don't make the money to get the girls, you make the money so women are a byproduct of your success. With Instagram, social media, women have more options than ever before. Women are far less tolerant of a man that isn't capable. College, education, feminism, women earning more money, having more degrees. Women are doing really well right now financially. Women are out-earning men in a lot of major cities in the United States nowadays. So women have less tolerance for man's financial ineptitude. So therefore, men must perform. There's no way around it.
Girls want a guy with experience. You don't want to date a virgin because you got to teach him how to really be a man. So a guy with experience is attractive.
And these are
I
the
don't think
questions
the
that
average
you're
girl wants a
mentioning.
guy though with like 200 bodies.
Yes, she does.
But
Absolutely
I'm not saying 200. I'm just saying.
I don't think it really matters.
No shot.
As long as you care about that person.
No
So
shot.
here's the answer to that question.
Women want a guy that's charming, attractive, etc. Right? They want to enjoy the pizza, but they don't necessarily understand what it takes to make said pizza. What they don't realize though is for that guy to get to that point where he's charming, he knows how to say all the right things, his place is nice, he dresses well, he knows what cologne to wear, whatever. It comes from experience. It takes from a lot of trial and error. Any guy that's extremely charming and good looking, etc., more than likely has a high body count, and he got it through experience, through trials and tribulations.
If you are a woman, you're 26, 27, 28, and you know that your guy is stepping out and 19, 20-year-olds, you can't tell me that that woman isn't worried that he's going to run off with one of those women forever. And it might be okay when the relationship is perfect, but as soon as you guys start having fights and your guy doesn't come home that night, no shot that woman's not going crazy. How many women on this panel would be okay being in a one-end open relationship and it's like on level, not like you're dating Leonardo DiCaprio or some shit? I'm just curious, like show of hands, who'd be okay with it?
Bro, they're not raising their hands now, but they all answered the question differently before when we were
no, but now we're asking them very specifically, because you guys will say, you'll be like, celebrities can pull, but for the reason that I said, because that woman knows that she's never going to get a chance to be with another guy like that. Most people date within their league, right?
Yeah. There's a person that's making average money that doesn't have any
most men and women are dating within their league.
When girls are able to fuck a certain caliber of guy, a lot of girls attribute their self-worth to that caliber of guy and think I can also retain a guy on this level. Exactly. That's what I'm trying to say. They conflate their sexual market value attraction with their relationship market value attraction. It's very difficult for women once they experience a certain type of lifestyle to regress.
I agree with everything you're saying, but that's because it's completely at odds with what you just said, though. A woman can way above her league. Absolutely. But she can't date above her league because people generally date within their league.
I agree, but she doesn't know that. I brought women on this panel and asked them, what kind of guy do you want? 9 out of 10 times, I want a guy that's 6 foot plus, 100 grand a year, attractive in shape, etc. And they think that these guys are walking around all over the place. And it's fine. But they don't realize that guy is less than 1% of the population. But why do they have this skewed perception of reality? A lot of girls, quite frankly, are very, very delusional as to what the average man is. When I tell them, the average man is actually 5'8" and makes about 40 to 50K per year. What? What are you talking about? That's a lie. Not in my reality.
We're also in Miami too, though. Like that's
true.
Yeah. That is
but
the case.
We've brought women. The scary
you brought women that have come to Miami, though.
I don't think you guys understand. Instagram, dating apps, the internet has changed the game. The landscape.
Yeah, but in Miami, the game is so much different than any of. Even in LA, it's not as crazy as.
In Pennsylvania,
young, attractive girls typically want to do. They want to go to the major cities.
Yes.
And when they go to the major cities, who's going to be there? Higher earning, higher status men. Average girls easily can get a date with a multi-millionaire or a successful guy, and they'll think to themselves, this is the type of guy that I can retain. And the reality is they can't.
Yo,
if you're a high value guy, you're some sort of entrepreneur, like you're making money. If all you want is like a woman who's attractive and replaceable, that's not a woman who's going to invest a lot into you, right? Women with pretty low body counts that are typically like doing something for themselves, they might be willing to fall in behind and support your business, but they're maybe going to school. They have some sort of goals. These women generally are not going to be comfortable with the idea of being replaceable, and I think it's going to derail your relationship.
But I think that your values are based on like women on this scale. The things that you're saying that women value, men don't give a shit about. That's respectfully, you named a whole list of things that are very ethical from a woman's lens.
We've already agreed on this panel. Men are killing themselves at a higher rate. They're depressed as and they're dominantly working really awful labor jobs.
Really risky jobs too.
Yeah,
But nobody cares though.
Nobody cares about them. I agree. But this is the issue, is that if we have a dating strategy that consistently repeats the idea of I don't give a fuck about him, all I care about is his wallet, that's a terrible relationship.
See, but that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying for women is when they do invest that much time and emotion into a guy, they ultimately hold that as a leverage when they don't get what they want. And then it becomes toxic regardless. If a guy's making this much money, he doesn't give a fuck about your $20, your $50, your $100 if he's providing all the above.
You know what he does care about? That when he comes home, that you tell him that you love him. That when he falls asleep, he feels your body again.
That's what I mean.
I want to be your dream, baby.
You mentioned that, women care about a man's wallet. That's a terrible thing. Okay, this is a perfect example of operating in should, could, and would. The problem is I operate on what is. The reality is this. Feminism has effectively killed the nuclear family. It's hurt relationships to a significant degree because what's happened is we have a deregulated dating marketplace. So when you leave women to their own devices, what do? They pick the best of the best. So my thing is this. I know that you're saying like, hey, you want a woman with values, etc. I get it. It's fucked up that like a lot of guys live miserable lives, etc. But the reality is women don't give a fuck. So what I have to do is I have to give guys advice to deal with the sexual marketplace today, not 1950 when women were ladies, but today. So knowing that, I tell guys, you got to get out there and get experience as well, because being a gentleman, being a nice guy, chivalry will put you in a very bad light. So I get what you're saying. It's up that this is the way it is, but we got to operate on what is. What I'm saying is that women are not equipped to handle male problems. So therefore, if you do have problems, you need to go and confide with men that share your experiences that you can trust and you respect. Some girls might be able to tolerate, some girls can't. Why would I take that risk and open up Pandora's box and open up vulnerability to you when I know, number one, you can handle it. Number two, the chances of you losing attraction to me go up. And I don't know what's going to happen. Why not just tell guys that actually deal with my problems and know what the mask and burner performance is? Because the reality is this. Men can't afford to be mediocre. Because as a woman, if you're mediocre, if you're attractive, you can still find a rich man. As a man, if you're mediocre, you're
How do most mediocre men have wives?
If a girl f***s 80 guys, not one of them wanted to wife you up. Not one said, you know what? This shit was bomb. You stay here. Maybe your shit.
You are like building the exact types of women I think that you're complaining about on the show. Why do women lie about what they're sexually attracted to? Because men shame them for their body counts. Why do men shame them for their body counts? Because people on shows like this will say things like, well, if a woman's got a high body count, she's not worth shit, but the man is worth so much more. Even though the man can step out, knock up 12 other bitches, and then leave you with 2 kids, and you never get child support from for the rest of your life. You also push people like further and further into these boxes. Not only is it a description of reality, but it's a way that they have to act.
Women only pick the best guys.
Facts.
I think women invest in men. A lot of them.
No, they don't.
I know multiple really successful women that have invested in loser fucking guys.
True.
I'm here to tell you, we brought women that are educated. You want to know? Those women are the most shallow. As women have become, how do I say this, more successful from feminism, their taste has went up alongside it.
But the issue is women lie about what they want all the time. So even if I come in here and I'm like, oh, I want a 100K man, he makes 100K a month, blah, blah, blah. The reality is that like women don't actually want that. Women,
No, they do.
This is the fish.
Wait, so how do you, so you trust women when they say that, but you don't trust women when they say other things? What do women lie?
Their actions prove otherwise.
Yeah. But if you want to look at their actions, the data for women, it is true that women have a harder time dating down, but that's changing. That has been changing. If you look at I think it was like in 1990, it was like 47% of women would never date somebody below their socioeconomic class. But as time has gone on, that number is down to like, I think it's in the low 30s right now. It's still high, but it's changing over time.
And divorces went up alongside it. So
sure, they might have divorces. First of all, you're assuming that every divorce is bad. That's not true.
You think that we have superficial relationships? Can you explain?
Hold on, stop. Just because you don't, hold on, wait. Okay,
generally you do. We've had many debates in the city. You say that red pill people we are having like bang maids. You said that many times here.
From my perspective, if I'm working within your you look for way different types of women than what I would ever look for. The reason why I argue against it isn't because of what you guys want. My issue is generally that the message that you're selling is never going to be available for 99% of your audience. Like they got a better shot at finding the right coin and becoming a billionaire in fucking crypto.
Don't listen to this, man.
Of the people that are watching right now, less than 10% of them will ever go want to earn six figures. Well, maybe
friend,
the YouTube audience, maybe
this
a
is
little
not
bit higher.
Disney.
But like,
this is the real life.
no, I'm talking about the real life. You're talking about Disney.
No.
When you talk about this is what high value men do, that's Disney World. We can do whatever the we want.
Isn't a relationship meant to be an emotional sort of thing where you're sharing things together?
If you go home and tell someone like, hey, like you're a CEO, this is my problem. You go and tell your girl that she can't fix the fucking problem.
Well, okay, do you guys not talk to? Oh wait, do you guys not talk to people when you share a problem with somebody? Most of the time, people aren't looking for solutions. You just want somebody to listen to you and hear you and understand you. That is probably, and I would actually go as far as say that that's probably the #1 problem of men today. That's one of the reasons why this show does really well. Is because you guys make men feel heard. When you guys talk about shit on your show, the reason why people are tuning in is because they feel like for once in their fucking life, somebody on YouTube is talking about a problem that they identify with, and you can call men whatever masculine, macho, whatever you want. But just 100%. Like women, at the end of the day, they hear that shit and they're like, "Fucking A."
But
Myron gets it. So when your woman complains to you about a problem, she's not looking for you to solve the problem. She just wants you to hear.
That's true.
Right? And it's the same thing with a man complaining about his wife. He doesn't want the woman because she probably doesn't know fucking shit about accounts at work or whatever the